Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session today. We're so excited to have you. We'll be discussing integrating inner work into MenEngage Alliance's culture. And very specifically today, lessons learned from a social justice organization that brings the inward and the outward journey together. If anything from this session, and I will say it will probably be much from this session, no, that really strikes at you and you would like to share with your social media channels, then do feel free to use this hashtag to link to it at hashtag Ubuntu Symposium. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Well, perhaps before we initiate the conversation, the dialogue today, which we're calling a fireside chat, we'll be having centering practice. So maybe for this, it would be good to stop the sharing. We're going to need to see each other. And then maybe if you go to the top of your screen and click on the gallery view, so that we can see as many people as possible. Do expand your screen. And I would like to ask everyone maybe to come on camera. If you wouldn't mind, we'll do a very quick 5-minute centering practice. Thank you so much for being bold and for coming on camera. I'll just wait another minute as colleagues are joining. This centering practice is called a look inside, and we're going to be using our eyes, long considered portals into the soul, into the inner world. And so, if you wouldn't mind joining me, what we'll do is we are going to come with our eyes very close to the camera, and we're just going to take a few minutes to look deep into our participants' eyes. And if you're feeling courageous, then I ask you to step forward and to come just a little extra so that people can really see into you. And just take a few minutes to connect with our colleagues in this way. What do you see? Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate everyone being willing to be seen deep inside. Great. So perhaps we can advance then and pass it over to Oswaldo, who after that centering practice will guide us through a brief recap of our journey so far into this exploration of inner work for social change, and as well this contemplative practices model that might help us anchor the different practices we've been exploring on our journey and what we're looking to explore today. Oswaldo, over to you.
Gracias, Jenny. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Osvaldo Montoya y yo trabajo para la Alianza MenEngage en el Secretariado Global. Soy originario de Nicaragua, por eso aprovecho el maravilloso servicio de traducción que tenemos para poder hablar desde mi idioma natal, materno, como dicen. Y quiero primero agradecerles por estar aquí con nosotros, agradecer a nuestra invitada especial, Kiki, por lo que nos va a compartir y decirles que esta es parte de una serie de sesiones que venimos promoviendo para invitar a una reflexión más profunda acerca de la importancia del trabajo interior, de prácticas contemplativas como parte de nuestra vida y como parte de nuestro compromiso social, político, por transformar las sociedades en las que vivimos, como parte de nuestra misión para lograr un mundo libre de patriarcado, libre de violencia patriarcal que se manifiesta en diferentes estructuras de opresión social. Entonces, eso le hemos llamado una serie de sesiones sobre trabajo interior para el cambio social, que pasa primero por la transformación interior nuestra. Y desde ahí hemos desarrollado diferentes actividades, talleres. Antes de comenzar el simposio en noviembre, comenzamos una serie de talleres bajo la dirección de Malika Dot. También tuvimos el apoyo de Melissa Wainaya. Tanto Malika como Melissa son activistas de trabajo interior y feministas que mucho admiramos y nos apoyaron bastante en procesos de reflexión. Con miembros de MenEngage también invitamos a otras personas que son amigos y cercanos a la Alianza MenEngage para comenzar esta exploración. ¿Cómo podemos integrar este enfoque de trabajo interior en el trabajo político y de cambio social que hacemos con los hombres, con las masculinidades y por el cambio social? Y ya luego en el simposio mismo, ya cuando comenzamos las sesiones del simposio Ubuntu, hemos tenido varias sesiones sobre la promoción del trabajo interior para el cambio social. Hemos llevado una lógica de primero una sesión sobre por qué es importante el trabajo interior para el cambio social para los que trabajamos en la transformación de las masculinidades patriarcales y trabajamos con hombres desde una perspectiva de igualdad de género. Entonces tuvimos una sesión con líderes de MenEngage, muchos líderes de diferentes regiones. Estuvo Jens, estuvo José Alfredo, Jens de Europa, José Alfredo de Latinoamérica, James de Norteamérica, Samita de Asia del Sur. Fueron los que compartieron desde su experiencia personal de trabajo interior y cómo eso le ha informado su trabajo como líderes dentro de MenEngage y en sus organizaciones. Luego hicimos otro taller, otro simposio Ubuntu sobre qué es eso del trabajo interior, e invitamos a otros tremendos expositores que tuvimos con nosotros hace como un mes más o menos, y hablando sobre en qué consiste el trabajo interior, a qué nos referimos con ello, qué significados tiene el trabajo interior. Y ahí fuimos a Álvaro Campos de MenEngage Latinoamérica, hablándonos de trabajo interior aplicado con los hombres. Tuvimos a un maestro budista y sacerdote de Portugal, hablándonos acerca desde una perspectiva espiritual. Y también tuvimos, a ver si me ayudan, estoy tratando desde mi memoria recordar los tres panelistas que tuvimos en esa segunda sesión sobre qué consiste el trabajo interior para MenEngage. Ahí sí me ayudan tal vez Jenny o Bianca de recordar quién fue ese grupo de panelistas que tuvimos hace como un mes. Y como parte de esta continuidad, ahora queremos enfocarlo en cómo, ¿verdad? Cómo podemos promover este trabajo, cómo podemos integrar esta perspectiva de trabajo interior en nuestras organizaciones. Y pensamos que una manera de entrar en esta reflexión es tomar inspiración de otras organizaciones sociales que están llevando este trabajo en sus organizaciones, y por eso hemos invitado a, Ingoma Nshya, y Jennifer va a presentar a nuestra invitada especial para esto. Y aquí estamos viendo en el gráfico un árbol, una metáfora muy linda que hemos encontrado, un recurso muy lindo que ha puesto el Centro para la Mente Contemplativa en la Sociedad. Esta organización, The Center for Contemplative Mind in Society, ellas, porque fue una autora sobre todo, crearon esta visualización gráfica de la diversidad de prácticas contemplativas. Y creemos que es un excelente recurso. Podemos compartir el link del website donde pueden ustedes explorar más a fondo esta herramienta del árbol de prácticas contemplativas. La contemplación es una forma diferente de conocer y entender la realidad, distinta al enfoque lógico intelectual, complementaria posiblemente, y este árbol nos muestra esa diversidad de prácticas contemplativas, que a su vez son un solo organismo con raíces comunes. Es como un árbol con diversas ramas, pero siendo parte de una misma unidad. Y en el árbol de prácticas contemplativas, antes de pasar, si nos mantenemos en el gráfico del árbol, en este árbol de prácticas contemplativas podemos ver, quizás se aprecia apenitas, las raíces, porque eso es las raíces simbolizan las dos intenciones comunes que son la base de todas las prácticas contemplativas, y son el cultivar la conciencia, la autoconciencia, incluyendo tus hábitos, tus patrones de conducta individuales y colectivos, cultivar tu sabiduría interior para salir de esos condicionamientos sociales opresivos. Esa es una de las raíces comunes de todas estas prácticas. Y la otra es desarrollar una conexión más fuerte con esa dimensión más profunda, más trascendente de la vida, con lo que algunos ven como la divinidad, con eso que es difícil nombrar y que es parte de nuestra esencia. Entonces, eso es lo lindo de esta metáfora del árbol. Y ustedes pueden ver en las ramas, hay muchas ramas que representan esa diversidad. Son diversas agrupaciones de prácticas. Por ejemplo, tenemos en la primera a la izquierda abajo la rama de las prácticas de quietud, que se centran en aquietar la mente y el cuerpo para desarrollar la calma y la concentración. Tenemos también otra rama de las prácticas generativas, que vienen en muchas formas diferentes, y verán que una de las ramas trata de las prácticas creativas. La 1, 2, como creo que la tercera a la izquierda, siguiendo el árbol, las prácticas creativas, donde está el canto y la música. Y otra rama trata del movimiento, prácticas relacionadas con el movimiento, donde está la danza. Es decir, a través de la música, del canto, de la danza, podemos cultivar conciencia, podemos conectarnos, podemos sanar. Y esta sesión se trata de eso. Esta sesión se trata de explorar esas ramas de la música, del canto, del arte, del movimiento. Y con eso, pues, paso a mi colega Jenny nuevamente para que nos introduzca a nuestra invitada especial. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Osvaldo. Wonderful. If we could go to the next slide then. Well, the time has arrived to meet our panelists, and we'll do so on our first approach through this video. So please follow along with us as we watch this collectively.
Kuvuza ingoma ni umwuga mwiza, ni akazi katunga umunyarwandakazi uwo ari we wese.
I have a drum.
Umuco wo kuvuza ingoma mu Rwanda wari uri mu cyendera. Nyuma ya jenoside, igihugu cyifashishije imbaraga z'abagore mu kongera kubaka igihugu, kuko ari wo mubare mwinshi wari usigaye. Twebwe nk'abagore n'abakobwa b'abahanzi twafashe umwanzuro wo kuzamura no gusigasira umuco wo kuvuza ingoma. Twibumbira mu itorero twise Ingoma Nshya.
Muri karitsiye mu midugudu tubamo babanje kutwita abasazi. Tugerageza kwishakira abarimu batwigisha kuvuza ingoma, badufasha mu myigire yacu. Ubu tuzi kuvuza ingoma neza byo mu rwego rwo hejuru, nta muntu n'umwe uturusha.
Kubera jenoside yakorewe abatutsi, nangiye nari narasigaye iheruheru, narabuze abana, mbura umugabo, ariko uko nagendaga mvuza ingoma nakomezaga kumva ibyishimo biza muri jyewe. Ariko yambereye umuti, Ingoma Nshya imberera n'umuryango.
ni Mukarazakazi wa mbere wagiye muri Nigeria mpagarariye u Rwanda muri festival yitwa Africa Drum Festival.
nagiye muri Mexique,
nagiye muri Suwede,
nagiye muri Amerika New York tugiye gukora fundraising. Ubu dufite shop yitwa Inzozi Nziza.
nagiye Zimbabwe na South Africa kuvuza ingoma.
nagiye muri Ethiopia,
nagiye mu Bwongereza ngiye kuvuza ingoma. Amafaranga nakoreyeyo naraje nyubakamo anexe ibyumba 2 na saro.
ngurayo na fondoti ntangira guke.
Mu by'ukuri dukundwa cyane n'abantu bo hanze kuko n'amasoko yo mu Rwanda yo tubona ni make yarabaze. Izo mbogamizi turazifite kuko ntago batwemera.
Perezida wa Repubulika yaduhaye agaciro, aravuga ati n'uburinganire kugira ngo tubashe kubaka u Rwanda rwacu.
Ikintu cyagaragaje ko nyakubahwa Paul Kagame adushyigikiye niwe watwohereje muri Senegal muri 2008.
Umukobwa ntagihezwe mu bintu byose mu Rwanda, barajya mu ngabo z'igihugu, muri polisi, mu buyobozi, mu iterambere, mu kwihangira imirimo, mu bacuruzi. Buri ugiye mu isoko wasanga abacuruzi benshi ari abadamu.
ariko ugeranije imyaka 15 ishize tuvuza ingoma n'ibinyejana byashize, umugore atemereye gukora na gato ku ngoma mu Rwanda ni nk'agatonyanga. Hakaba hakenewe imbaraga nyinshi zo kuziba icyo cyuho.
Hari abantu bataratwumva, hari abantu bacyumva ko tukica umuco, kandi mu by'ukuri ntabwo ari ukwica umuco.
Nta zuba ryavuye ngo rye kuziba, nta mvura yaguye ngo ye guhiga. Kuvuza ingoma ntabwo ari kirazira.
I have a drum.
I have a drum ni gahunda yo gufungura amashami y'Ingoma Nshya mu turere twose.
I have a drum ni umukino turi gutegura tuzakinira muri Amerika mu gihe cy'amezi 2 duhagarariye u Rwanda mu ruhando mpuzamahanga.
I have a drum ni filime mbarankuru n'igitabo bizabikwamo amateka y'Ingoma Nshya.
None rero harageze ko buri muntu uwo ari we wese ushyigikiye iterambere ry'umugore, yaba leta y'u Rwanda, yaba abikorera ku giti cyabo, yaba ibigo bitegamiye kuri leta, niyo yaba umuntu ku giti cyiwe.
Turasaba ko abagore bari mu buyobozi ku rwego rw'igihugu ni benshi badutiza imbaraga zo gukuraho kirazira yo kuvuza ingoma, kuko ni umurage dushaka gusigira abana bacu.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Wonderful. Well, with that amazing introduction through video to the broader group of Ingoma Nshya, we now specifically would like to welcome our panelists. And if you wouldn't mind putting that screen one more time. In 2004, Odile, which we will call Kiki, as she prefers today for the conversation, created the first ever Rwandan female drumming ensemble, Ingoma Nshya, which in Kinyarwanda is the word for new drum or new power. And after the Rwandan genocide, many men were left, of course, dead or in prison. And this group of women decided to come together for the sake of the country, and in particular for the sake of girls and women. Thank you so much. And Ingoma Nshya, which we'll hear about now from Kiki, really has its purpose, no? As being a visionary grassroots project with multiple goals, which include healing, reconciliation, women's social and financial empowerment, and artistic excellence. And maybe we can go ahead and say hello to Kiki and begin our conversation. Kiki, welcome. It's an absolute honor to have you here, to be able to share with you and learn from your wisdom. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Wonderful video. Great to see many of the women and girls in the group. Yeah, maybe we can just start off by having you share with us a little bit of how did you get to the point where you decided to start Ingoma Nshya?
Yes, thank you. In 2004, I was working at the University Center for Arts and Drama at the University of Rwanda as the artistic director. And I was putting in place many activities for the students, but most of the time they were not available to go further because they were students, they were not artists. And I needed to go further. And I realized that if the student didn't have time for arts, then I was looking for people who have time, plenty of time. And I realized that I've been working at the University Center for like 8 years. Then we have been working with the youth, and I was missing the women in the landscape. And I realized that it was also the women who had time, plenty of time, because most of them, they didn't go to school, they were home, and they didn't have many opportunities. They were looking for opportunities to just express themselves. And when we made those calls, hundreds of women came because they had time. And since then, I've learned that the precious thing that I had with them, it was time. And this is what more than fun, more than anything, I needed people who could invest their time in the project. And it started, we just wanted to do something, to be useful, to participate. And it happens to be something greater than us. But I remember that at the very beginning, because we were told when we wanted to drum that women should not drum, that it was a taboo. And I think as a woman, this is the first time that I was confronted to a discrimination. I didn't understand how relevant the reason of saying that I'm a woman should prevent me from doing anything. I didn't, up to now, I'm just shocked. I can't understand how someone can be excluded from something because just of the sex. I feel it's really sad and stupid and not relevant. And the good thing at that time is, as you said, we were coming out from a genocide. Then I think somehow nothing was too shocking for us anymore. We went through the most shocking experience. Then a woman drumming, a gay, anyone who wants to do anything was not as important, as shocking as the genocide itself. And the fact of being the majority of the population, the country itself has to rebuild with the help of women. And then for me, I started calling it women power because there were the manpower available. And we were also, again, then for me, the gender policy was again at the cost of a genocide. Then I felt like it's a responsibility to take advantage of that because it's costed so much that I can't just let it go. And yes, and I remember telling the women that, okay, I remember going at the museum, the National Museum of Rwanda, asking them, why is it forbidden? Maybe there is a good reason.
because I'm a reasonable person. And I was told that no, you are not strong enough. It's not your thing. Why do you want to do this? Go do other things that are useful. It's not even useful. Why do you want to drum? There is no need for you to drum. There is no need. And you should do something more important than that. But the main thing, if it was for me, you say you are not strong enough. Maybe you're right, but we are going to try that. And maybe we are not going to like it even. Maybe we are going to realize it's not for us. We are not strong enough. But I think also another, I am someone who's also just curious. And as an artist, I have to be creative. And I have just to try with no pretension. The only thing that I knew that if we succeed, we will make history. And this is the only thing I told the women to motivate them. Let's make history. Because there was no immediate reward. And we went there, we went to drum. We were lucky as we were working at the University Center for Art and Drama, there were drums. We only have to bring our time and our sticks. And by the way, talking about the sticks, one of the reasons women are not allowed to drum in Rwanda is because they don't have sticks. As sexual parts, they are not equipped with sticks because the sticks will represent the male sexual parts. And the drum is the female sexual parts. And there is even a sexual practice in Rwanda where the man beats his sticks on the drum, literally. Then I was explained that just for that, because it portrays this action, we are not allowed to drum because we are not equipped with sticks. For me, it's equipped with balls. And somehow for me, it was, and then when I go further in the culture, the way women are portrayed, they are portrayed as vulnerable people, weak people, impure. They have to be beautiful. Bravery is not attached to a woman. Strength is not attached to a woman. It's a man who has to be strong, powerful, and everything. And I felt that it was not good for anyone, because having more bravery, having more strength in this world and in my country is good for everyone. I don't understand why women should be confined in that. Later in my journey, I understood that. And now I'm talking about, I'm saying drum, I'm just claiming my right to be brave and strong. And strong should be also sexy, should be beautiful. It's not ugly. Because I remember one time we were touring in Rwanda, the women, they were jumping and, they were really ecstatic, I don't know. And a man told me, oh my God, this is ugly. A woman just liberating herself and just letting herself be. It's not good. You should just behave. This is what is good for you. And then when we talk about all the violence against women, the women are raised like flowers, are waiting for the prince and everything. And when they have to be strong, they can't be strong because they were not raised like that. And I feel like a part of me as a human being is being erased because it's not being recognized. I want to be provocative here and say that as someone who is from a country that's experienced a genocide, a crime against humanity, I feel like the people who have been, women have been experiencing a crime against their humanity from all the time. And I think these words are strong enough to just to shake anyone. And then we don't name that way because we have been brainwashed so that we can just fall in certain formats or stereotypes. And then we never fully and freely experience ourselves. And as to link this to the inner part of ourselves, I think the most great thing that I've learned in culture is that culture is made of people. And when the women came the first time, they were not appreciating themselves because they didn't go to school, because I'm old, it may be too late for me, because I'm fat, because I am poor, because I am a woman. I've been told that I don't worth anything. Then how can I don't even want to elevate my voice. I come from Rwanda. I am Rwandan, born in Congo in exile. And in Congo, this is a country of people who shout. In Rwanda, they whisper because of the history also of they don't trust everybody. The history of division they have been through, they whisper. Literally, they whisper. They can even say, greet you, good morning. You don't hear the good morning. And I was saying, why do you whisper a good morning, a greeting? If it's sent to me, say it loudly. And then when I came here, I started whispering also. Then here, women whisper most of the time. They don't want to disturb. They don't want to disturb. Then when they came for the drumming, they would say, oh my God, we are going to shout now with the drums. They are so, and up to now, people, they say that we make noise. We don't make music, we make noise. And I told them, but don't trust yourself. I need you with your griefs, with your pain, with your joys. I need you. You are the raw material. I'm not. The world is made of us, and we are lucky to have you. Then be here and contribute to the humanity. That's why I feel like if a lot of women are not being allowed to be there, to be human, this is the worst crime against humanity. And we don't have necessarily the bodies, but we don't have the women that we could have had if they were not brainwashed, if they didn't cut their humanity so that they contribute to the world. So and then also we were trying to make room in a culture. I'm not going to talk about the system. I will name it in a culture because I was working in a cultural field. We were trying to have a place in a culture that didn't have room for us at all. At the beginning, I didn't realize that. I was just fighting, pushing things, and things were not working. And I was, but why is it not working? Because there is no room for you. Then I moved back, and I decided to build a world or a culture that's I create my own space. It means that if we are drumming and when we need to perform, we don't have any festival that's consider us as eligible. Then for many years, we have been those ineligible women, people in everything we did in faith. Then we created our own festival. We created our own workshops, and we didn't wait for someone else to let us be. We allowed ourselves to be and to stay in the cultural landscape. That's why in the video you saw I say we are here to stay. We are not going anywhere until you recognize us, until you value us. But by the time you don't value us, we are going to value ourselves. Then and when you do that, when you value yourself, however long it's going to take, people will give back this value and all will recognize that value. Then now we are claiming that we want to participate to to build a culture. There is always a culture, but there's already a culture, but to build a culture that recognize us and that where we feel that we are represented. Maybe this is what I would say for now. Maybe any question, then I will move forward. I think I've been long.
No, not at all. Thank you so much for sharing. It's a stunning story. One thing that really stands out, and it's in the name, no? This new power as this symbol for what Ingoma Nshya stands for. We talk a lot about power with in our journey with MenEngage, but this also feels like empowerment, right? Finding it from within, and also power with of the collective. It's such a striking story, and how out of this collective moment of darkness, you seizing this opportunity, no? And the disruption of the status quo to push forward, no? This wonderful proclamation, no? Of independence, of new power, of collective healing. Really struck me, no? How you mentioned this crime against humanity of women, right? Absolutely critical proclamation. So thank you so much. And yeah, maybe we can explore perhaps a little bit deeper into the healing, no? The healing that takes place when you're together. And maybe that's been secondary. Maybe you just come together to drum. I don't know. We ask you, no? And then the healing takes place around the sound, the movement, the joy of drumming together. We were chatting before too, just how there's women, right, of various ages. You have quite an intergenerational range of women that are participating. And you were sharing too, you're just beginning now to train the next cohort. Some of the girls being quite young, right? Maybe you started it in 2004, and it's been evolving as a space for healing and empowerment. So what have you learned in the process of the inner work that takes place, right, within the space? And now that you are passing in a way the baton of all those learnings, all those deep spaces of healing and joyful celebration to the next generation, maybe you could unpack that a little bit for us in any way that feels comfortable. Thank you.
By the way, the words Ingoma Nshya in Kinyarwanda, Ingoma means drum, and the Nshya means new. And in Rwanda, one of the reasons why women were not allowed to drum also is that at the very, very beginning, it was only performed for the king. It's a royal symbol. And even the era or the time of the leadership of someone like now, our leader is Kagame, they will say that we are under the drum of Kagame. In Kinyarwanda, it will be we are under the Ingoma of Kagame. And we relate to the reigns or the leadership of different kings, saying it was under the drum or the leadership. That's why women were not approaching the royal space. It was only very selected men, very careful selected men that were approaching that space. And after, with the colonization, it was the end of the monarchy, and then the drums somehow were started to disappear, and somehow also become to be, even though it was democratized, but it disappeared, maybe in the form and the way we used to know it. And then with this new leadership, with this new power, women are really literally empowered at every level. The woman who is not empowered in Rwanda is the woman who doesn't want to. But there are opportunities out there. And that's why I say that I feel it's a responsibility to take that, because it's rare. It doesn't happen everywhere, because in the neighbor country of Burundi, even it's not any man who can drum. Now that the drumming has become the patrimoine immatériel de l'UNESCO. Now the Burundian drum is part of the heritage, immaterial heritage at UNESCO. Now it's all more regulated. You need to pay, you need authorization. It's not as democratized as it was before. And the idea of a woman drumming is just inconceivable. And I feel that with this project of I Have a Drum, that's really resonates with I Have a Dream. It's all about human rights. And we are drumming for all the people who are not able to drum. And the first time we drummed, we were surprised to feel joy. We didn't expect joy. We were expecting some hardship. It will be very difficult. We have to be strong. It will be really, more work than joy. And it was fun. Oh my God, it was so fun. And I mean, it's something that transcend you. It's something magical. I don't know how I can explain this. And then this is where somehow, again, I understood why it was forbidden for women to drum, because most of it, I will talk for Africa, all the pleasures, sexual pleasures, pleasure for food. Here in Rwanda, they like food, goat meat. And for a long time, it was forbidden for women. All the parts of a chicken that can be tender and delicious, not for women. How can you allow them then to drum? You can't, because it's so empowering, so transcendental. I don't know how to say it. That somehow, whether you want it or not, you are transformed. Then also the space. I remember when women were coming, most of them, there were widows, there were women of perpetrators of the genocide, kids of that. All of them, they had heavy burdens. And they brought them on stage. And they wanted to share their stories, their terrible stories. And I remember the first time I was hearing to them, it was breaking me, killing me. Because for me, the genocide, every time I relate to it, I die every time. That's why I need to relate to it in another way. That's another project. But when we talked with the women, I said, okay, it was terrible. It is terrible. But can we have this space of drumming as a bracket where we renew ourselves? Yes, we are widows. Yes, we are orphans. Yes, we are weak. We didn't go to school. We are all the bad things, yes. But we are also made of greatness. We are made also of courage. We also have good things. Let's focus on that. Those things will help us to overcome all these challenges. But for even if it's for an hour, for a day, let's forget all those burdens and just focus on us, on what we need, on fun, on something that for me reconcile us with ourselves, so that we go back happily or somehow in a way more reconciled with ourselves to the challenging daily life. And we need those space just to evacuate whatever we need to evacuate and to feel lighter and go back to work. And I remember, because most of the time I work to fundraise for the women drummers, at a certain point I was just like blocked. I've said everything. I need something new to be said, to be written. And I asked the women, you say what the drums do to you. And yeah, they gave some surprising answer for me, because I was not aware that I was doing that with the drum. One said that I feel like I confide to the drum when I am drumming. I tell the drum all my things and evacuate, and I feel good. Another girl said, the drum has given me an identity. Now people recognize me on the road. Before I drum, nobody knew me. But now they point their fingers, however they point it to me, they say, she's a woman drummer. somehow I exist. People see me. And of course, it has opened also many opportunities for the women who, from which the world didn't expect anything from. And that's revolutionary story came with people, we came from unexpected women. Those women who are unknown, or I think there is something that I relate to with the unknown soldier. I feel like women also, they are unknown women. There is something that talks to me, and the women who didn't expecting also anything from themselves, from the life, they made something great. And it can be, and then for me, what is greater than the job it can give to anyone, all the travels and everything, now we are really participating to the building of a culture that is made of us. For me, those are the precious words that resonate to me these days, these years. It's made of you. Culture has to be made of you and me, and made of us. If it's not made of me, because I'm not eligible again as a woman, I feel, oh my God, this is so unfair. I didn't know how bad it was to be a woman until I started drumming. Yes, then, and then because we concentrated on the drumming together and left our burden somehow at the gate, a widow could drum with the wife of perpetrators. We could just drum together and enjoy who we were at that time, at the moment we were drumming. And many of the women were in isolation, either because of the shame, either because of the pain, either because of the poverty, either because of feeling not eligible to apply to anywhere. There is no space for me. And this was the space that came to, as I said earlier, to rehabilitate our humanity and to count now, and to work on the fact of making everyone understanding and recognizing that we count, however poor we are, however uneducated. I don't agree with the word, but uneducated we are. However, everyone has his part of strength and weaknesses. And now, yes, the next generation of drummers, we started drumming very late. We were the youngest, who is now 30, almost 30, started when she was 14. She started earlier compared to one of us who started, she was almost 40. And we have even women who are 60. And this is what I liked also about this space. It's because everyone felt home, felt even if I'm 30, I'm 60, I'm 12, I can find my place there. And for the sake of sustainability, we have to reduce the number of the women. We have to organize ourselves in a certain way that sustainability requires. But we have been training since almost 3 years now, the next generation, and we are introducing the drumming training at a very early age, at 6, even at 2, so that it is because if we want the culture to be made of us, it's also the other way. We have to be made of the drum at a very early age, and I'm expecting the best is yet to come for these youngs. But again, as I said, if we have to start from scratch, even the 17 years are just a drop in the ocean, but a precious drop. We are working on that. We have to do everything because it's not clear where we should stand. We don't have necessarily the opportunities we want to have. We don't have an equal opportunities to the market or anything. It's harder. It's exciting, but it's really harder. And I really hope that by the time I die, I will see the next generation of the drummers. For me, it's beyond drumming. That's why we also started invading other arts that are reserved only to men, like the traditional warrior dance. For me, we have fought for the liberty also in 1994. Women have become soldiers now. Then why is the dance warrior reserved to men? And it's also another exhibition of strength, of power, of beauty. But I think somehow you have to embody that also, to be able to become that. And I think most of the time we are not strong because we never play strong. We play weak, and we wait for someone else to be strong for us. And I think it's better that I feel like it's a huge loss for the humanity when women are not allowed to be brave, to be powerful, and at the same time to display the two things. I think this discourse can be also said for men as well. They're also allowed to be fragile, to cry, but I think it's more important for us, for the sake of our survival, to practice, then as an artist, to practice strength, to practice dignity, to practice courage. And by the way, when people ask me about how we were able as a country to forgive, because it's unbelievable. How did you forgive? You can't forgive in that case. And sometimes I answer, because we practice. Every day we practice forgiveness until it works. Until it works, we practice again and again. We start forgiving without forgiving, really, without meaning it. And then because the person I have to forgive sometimes is my mother, is my father, is myself, or is the next, the neighbor I live with, is the other person I meet every time I go to the market. At the end of the day, I have to forgive. It will work because this is also the only option we have made to ourselves. So I think that culture is very, very important, and culture is us, is our inner us. For people to be able really to make room for women, to have a culture of inclusiveness. It's a culture, by the way. It's a culture of inclusiveness, of democracy, of tolerance. It starts with culture, but most of the time it ends with culture. And when people grow those values, then we are sure that somehow we are growing good human beings. Then again, I want to end there. When I was applying for funds for the cultural activities, most of the time people were saying, oh, too bad, we are funding agriculture, not culture. And I was telling them, how do you care about growing food and you don't care about how you grow human beings? How do you grow human beings? How do you put time and resources and research on how to grow good potatoes, and you don't put time to see how do we grow good human beings? But again, I'll say, okay, but that's the thing. At the end of the day, it comes back to the human beings, and human beings is made of women and women.
Kiki, thank you for sharing. So powerful. I'm really struck by so many things you shared. It feels like a revolutionary reclamation of power, of story, of identity, of fostering, of ability and right to foster new cultural norms. Really striking to this bracket, a pause, no? The space of drumming, understanding that the healing trauma process is long and arduous, and of course, needless to say, in this case, long journey, and that it was always a space to foster and create something new, right, out of joy and resilience. That really struck me, and thank you so much for sharing. I know perhaps at this point we conceptualized a fireside chat. We know we have the honor of having you in this conversation, such deep wisdom that you are sharing with us. And perhaps we can open it up to some questions from participants regarding your experience. And I just wanted to share that quote. You were touching upon forgiveness, and you had shared that with us. When you forgive, you move forward. And thank you for explaining a little bit the process, no, as a spiritual practice in a way, every day to come back to forgiveness, no, until it penetrates and feels embodied, and it takes root, no. That was very profound. Yeah, thank you so much. Wonderful. Perhaps could we then invite our participants? There's so much to orient around, no, in terms of Kiki's shared experience. So really opening it up to all of you. Is there anything you would like to ask or reflect upon? I've seen there was already quite a few comments. Hi, maybe.
I'm Soledad from Uruguay.
Hi, go ahead, please.
Okay, I will try in English. Not I go into Spanish. Thank you for sharing your experience, Kiki. I think it's a very powerful experience. You touch my heart. When you say, I have a drum, I have a dream, you touch my heart. And I see in you like a resilient, I don't know the word in English, resiliente, maybe they can translate it into English, woman. And I know you have gone through a very, very hard hurt in your heart because of the genocide, you know? So I admire you because you come through that and you have lost your family and you have forgiven them through a very, very hard work as well. Thank you for sharing your experience. I've been in your country many years ago. I've been in Africa for 10 months. And every time I see people telling the story from Africa, you touch my heart. Thank you very much. I've been in Congo, and it was very hard because there was a war where the place I was there. So every time I see people from Africa, I say I would like to go back and live a different experience. And your story make me to feel the envy, las ganas to go back and to rescue all the histories like you and to make a book or something like that, you know? Mm-hmm. Because when I was in Africa, I see another kind of woman. They were just doing all the work, all. It was very painful for me. They were doing everything together. They were, I don't know how to say that word in English, barrer. Osvaldo, you know how to say barrer? Barrer?
Yeah.
With, you know? Yeah. Una escoba. How do you say escoba?
Sweep, broom.
Bro? They were like, I don't know the word, browing, but without a stick. Maybe because the stick means the penis. I don't know, because they couldn't use a stick. They were doing it on the floor.
Oh.
And they're washing the floor. I don't know how to say that, mopping without a stick as well. Like, I will show it for you, sorry. People in Africa do like this to wash the floor. And they do like this to, I don't know, to mop the floor. I don't know. Maybe because of the stick thing. Maybe some men thing that you can use that for help yourself. I don't know. You made me think that now, you know. And we were trying to help women giving them some tools to do that work, and they didn't know how to use it. They were like shocked, you know? They saw our tools, mops, and everything, and they say, how we can use that? We are not used to do with this with the sticks. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me as well. Thank you for sweeping.
Thank you. I love what you shared, Kiki, how part of this process has been to change the story, to radically shift it, and to, in many ways, take the empowerment to do so, right? You will still be moving through the difficulty of the process of trauma healing, but at some point, your understanding to address, right, how you tell the story of it in a new light as part of the healing process, that really resonated with me very deeply. So thank you. Wonderful. Shall we move ahead to another question?
Yes. Manuk, Kiki, you're my Quidig. It means sister in Armenian. And you're part of a world of sisters that have come out of these wars of ethnic cleansing. And I'm so humbled, as I was humbled when I was sent or called by the United Nations and then the State Department, when they were looking for a Russian-speaking woman to recover the women on both sides of a war. And I had to bring them to a neutral country and for plastic surgery and what have you. And I said in my interview, because you talked about healing, and I was interviewed by all men, I'm going to put the women from the different sides of the war in the same recovery room. And the men said, you can't do that. The men said, you can't do that. I kept my mouth shut so I could have the position that was supposed to be filled by a Russian woman rape therapist. You brought me back to that time in 1995 to see women like yourselves coming together. And I picked a wonderful psychologist locally. I had teams on both sides of the war, which I had to traverse, and the war was still going on. And she had witnessed what you have done today. She could have taken them so much further. I remember my little niece picking up a drum, and her grandmother said, you cannot touch that drum. It's called a dumbag, and it's made with the goat skin. And girls don't play drums, my mother told her. And it hurt me. It hurt me until today, where she is now a mother herself. And I would be so pleased to share the video and your story with her. The strength of women is such that we men cannot comprehend. And I remember such a woman coming to get help. And her story was one where she had to go rescue her sisters who was killed, a little infant baby on the enemy side of the war, and what she did. And she was, and as you were explaining, Kiki, you know, the role of women before, you know, she had a profession as a nurse, but she was a loving wife and a loving mother of 3. Only one of her children survived. And my staff, which were women, didn't understand the things themselves of what she had to do to rescue the baby. And I came away with the same feeling that I do today, that I wish that in some way that women could take over the world and find us men something safe to do. That's that's what I see from your experience in your movement. You know, sometimes we were neighbors, like you said, even within the family, and became enemies. And how my psychologist Susie brought women together was there was one common language. By the way, I am since our last speaker, I am godfather to 8 Congolese boys and girls, and because I welcomed them here in Providence, Rhode Island, in the United States, a little tiny state. And I've had over 100 refugees, and it was eventually going to happen that I would be godfather. But she brought the women together because they had a language. She took them on excursions, and what she had was to look for something in common, and that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you. In her case, it was lullabies. And I have a video of her taking them through, and all these women who were supposed to be enemies sang lullabies that they commonly knew together. It's not as far as drumming, but it was a start. Tell me again in a little detail about this choice of a start to bring women together and strengthen them. And the choice you made of all the possible choices you could have made.
Yes, the choice is made only, but because every time I want to do something, I ask myself, what is missing? What needs to be done? And we had plenty of traditional dance company. There was no need that I create another traditional dance company. And then I went in those spaces where women were absent, or were few, or were excluded. And I remember at that time we wanted to do in cinema, in creative writings, in light and sound system, where in those spaces where women are not, in artistic spaces. But we went to the drum, and I feel sometimes I tell people it was a call, because we had drums there every time. We had drums that were not being played. And we didn't have a cent. This is also what I like with this project. We didn't need any fund. We didn't wait for fund, for money to do that. We had drums, we had time, and the women were asked to bring the sticks, were asked to bring their balls, their bravery, so that we work on that. I think this is how I read that now. And they came, and this project was made possible because it didn't cost us anything until a certain point when we want to develop it, to make it a profession and everything. We just have to pour ourselves in that. And yes, we never gave up, just because there is so much fun, so much fun. And I think this is also the healing part of that. Every time, however unhappy we are, and however conflicted we are, because also we quarrel, but at the minute we hit the drums, it's gone. And then we will quarrel after if you want. But after drumming, I think we are also changed. It doesn't matter why we were quarreling. It's something that's every time renew us and empower us. And I think at a certain point reconcile us with ourselves. I think it's all about what happens to the other person comes back to you, because you are the other person. Then we have understood that. Then
thank you so much. As you know, you're joining this session for the Ubuntu Symposium. It's a philosophical foundation that we are preciously seeking to hold, right? Putting forward the conceptualization of I am because you are. Actually, I wanted to touch upon that a little bit more deeply with you, and I'm going to read one of the comments from our participant, Nick Danford. What a wonderful point about the importance and the challenge of practicing forgiveness, Kiki. We faced the same challenge in South Africa. We had to do practice of peace and reconciliation for years, like you did in Rwanda, to be able to learn to forgive. I worked in both countries and saw how hard it was to practice forgiveness. Maybe for some people, they have to learn to forgive many others. Men and women too often need to practice to learn to forgive each other. It too takes practice for years. Maybe building upon that and about this concept of Ubuntu, I wanted to inquire fundamentally, what have you learned about your humanity in this process of starting Ingoma Nshya, of everything that you've experienced? Is your deepest wisdom, no, of in your exploration of your humanity through forgiveness, through resilience, through coming back into a state of joy, right, with a group of women in celebration and reclamation, no, of your power. Maybe I'll leave it at that.
Yes, I think what I learned on stage, I remember the first time I was a student, the first time I met with culture or with arts. I was a student at the university, at the National University of Rwanda in political sciences. And there was a workshop in theater that was organized, and I had time. I went to check. And I loved it. And one day there was an assignment, and then they asked me to go on stage. Of course, I went there because for me, I was playing. I was having fun. I was not doing more than that at that time. And they asked me, so what do you want to tell the world? We are listening to, no, I didn't want to tell anything the world. I don't have anything to say. I'm just having fun. But this question, I think years after, I felt that I've been telling something to the world, that I had a voice. I learned to shape it, to build that voice. And I understood when, of course, we have also to make research, we have to work as anyone, but I think the fact of being me is enough. I allow myself to be me. I'm never afraid of any competition because it's not me. I will never be able to do what you do, and you'll never be able to do what I do. You will basically drum, but not the same way like I do. This is also what I tell the women when someone is saying, oh my God, I'm like the one who's 53. You say, oh my God, I'm not strong anymore. It's not interesting what I'm doing. I say, but it is interesting because drumming as a 53 person is not the same way as drumming as the other one, and it's valuable. Then I feel safe. I feel, as an artist, I feel powerful. Sometimes I feel desperate as a human being, but when I go back to my art, when I can reinvent everything, because I also like to describe myself, even if it may sound pretentious, as God. I create out of nothing. Every time, out of nothing, something comes through. And I go back to my life hopeful, knowing that even there, without anything, from nothing, I will build something that will be, and this is really very important to me, will be made of me, not made of you. And then I need you to be there also, so because it's so different and it's become richer. Then, yes, and this complex that we might have in Africa, or maybe also as women, of saying, I didn't go to school, I don't have a PhD and everything, I never feel that. Even the women say, by the way, you are being invited by the president and you didn't go to school. It means it doesn't matter because you are so much more than those schools. And even when I was working with women, because of the way we know how to empower them, we need to to put in place a small business in the market of tomatoes, something that is useful to them. At a certain point, I was saying, oh my God, maybe I should use the fund we are getting to get them back to school, you know, to learn English, to learn French, to have those tools that are relevant in this world. And I said, no, we are relevant human beings. As a human being, I'm relevant, I'm valuable. I don't have to speak French, English, or whatever. If I can, that's great. I would like to speak all the language of the world. But even with only my drum, with this old and not valuable tool, I'm going to count. I'm going to make myself relevant. People are going to see that I'm useful and I count and everything. Then I think every time my art, my work brings me back to that as a human being, I am valuable. And about the forgiveness, for me, I like the fact that in Rwanda, we didn't have a choice. We have choice, by the way. Either we keep that cycle of violence, either we choose life. We choose, and those two ways are both painful. But I prefer to ache when striving for peace, for life, because at the end of the day, we remain with life. And the first person you need to forget is always yourself. And when you forgive, when you forgive the other, it comes back to you. It's you are forgiving again and again, because this other person, it's you. And then in the history of the world of Rwanda, we are perpetrators and victims at different times. So at a certain time, it's me to forgive. At another time, it will be you to forgive me. And it's all about us. And I want to stress on the fact that it is very painful. It's a long and challenging and exhausting journey. But now when I look back in my country, I'm really happy that we are getting there. It's really, we are seeing that we made we chose life, and every step we are making is really going to life. And I'm really proud of us, because it was not easy.
Yeah, and I just want to center and elevate that. There's a quote, the years teach what the days never know. And so in a way, you're sharing your story encapsulated, in a short amount of time here with the group, but it is a day in and day out, a moment by moment of ups and downs that winds down the road many years, and the conclusions that you share, but not to minimize, right, what every step took. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe we open to one more question. If you have a question for Kiki in our fireside chat, please do share in the chat box now. And I'll just read a few comments from colleagues in the meantime. Let's see, from Srilatha, thank you, Kiki. I learned so much from your deep wisdom and insight. I feel inspired to practice forgiveness. This will be difficult for me at present with my anger and rage against the present rulers of our country who have betrayed the citizens of India in the face of this terrible pandemic. Thank you. I'm humbled.
Thank you.
And maybe we continue. I just see a question posted actually from Srilatha as well. And Srilatha, thank you, of course, for your work on all about power, drawing upon that framework, of power to really explore how here we have a true example, of the work of re-empowerment from within. Empower with. When does the practice of forgiveness tip over into actual forgiveness? And most importantly, in the question, in the heart, how do you know? How do you know when you've reached a tipping point of moving from?
I don't, I don't know, but I know that for a long time, my mother was not able to even think about what happened. And then she could not even think about the perpetrators and everything. I know that my father chose to never go back to his village. He never put his feet back to the village. Even if many times I took him there, I sent him there. I could not go with him. I thought he wanted to go back after so many years of exile, but his family was vanished. And he never, even when I sent them here, I felt it was nostalgic and everything. He stayed at the hotel and never claimed any land, anything. But I know that the people, especially the neighbors, I know that there are stories of widows who are left alone with no kid, no husband. That it is the kid of the perpetrators who is a neighbor who used to bring water to her. You know, I think that sometimes also we don't allow ourselves to forgive because we feel that we are betraying. But either you choose to die inside, you die. You don't connect to your neighbor. You don't connect with the community because it is the community that killed you. Then either you choose to die, not necessarily physically, either you are grateful that you're alive and you try to keep all the dead people alive and you try to reconcile with life. And there is no possible reconciliation with life if you don't forgive yourself. Because I know that most of the time when someone passes away, we said, why it was not me? It should have been me. Then when you forgive yourself to have survived, and you forgive yourself because even the grief you have is not killing you, is not literally killing you. You survived. Whether you want it or not, you survived. And then you find, of course, you find many other things in the society that helps you to reconcile with life. When you find justice, a kind of justice, because there is no justice for a genocide. Then you accept maybe when you are left with one kid, you live for that kid. When you get the support of the country, that the country builds you a house because your house was destroyed, then you say, okay, maybe I have a space. If you search well when you want to live and you want to forgive, you find reasons for that. And I think it's painful. It's painful. It's not easy. But this is what we should chase. Until at a certain point, yes, you find maybe a kind of peace. And if you don't have that kind of peace, do you have other sources of joy? There are always that. And at a certain point, we have gone, all of us, it's not only about through losses, but someday you surprise yourself, you're smiling, and you didn't want to smile. And then you accept that. I think, however, it's not easy to live. It's not easy, but it's worth. Then it costs many things. It costs forgiveness. It costs many things. And then you pay that price and you live. And maybe you never find, you don't know. I don't know, but I don't know if someone, I can't talk for other people, But I know that when you find some good reason to smile, to wake up every morning and everything, it happens. And when you allow yourself, and sometimes I know we feel guilty. I know a lot of people who felt guilty just to go back to life, to find a husband, to have kids. I should not, I should live as an asset. I should not smile again. I should not, because of the loss that I've had, because of my pain. How can I survive? How can I again fall in love with life? Sometimes also this is the thing, but sometimes also it kills you. I know that there are also people who never survived, or up to now they never opened that door. They never think about that story because it devastates them every time they think about that. But I think we should strive for life every time. And life is expensive in terms of all its requests.
Kiki, thank you for that. I think maybe we can begin to wrap up, but I just had an observation from the chat. I wanted to raise it with you and then ask your thoughts, no? It's interesting with comments from participants in the chat and both visually, no, when they spoke to us. Maybe you've noticed this, right? In the places that you go, but people are sharing. They're opening up to share their stories of intense pain, suffering. In some ways, I think you open up an opportunity to hold space for others to contribute their story, to share it. Is that something you notice? Is that an experience, no, that is common to you as you continue to share on the work of Ingoma Nshya, no? And maybe what have you learned about that? Because you have a drum and you have a dream and you go around, right? And you share this with the world. But I find that interesting. In a way, you're opening up this sacred space for healing for others, right? To share their stories and to relate to you deeply on those.
I didn't understand the question. Sorry.
Yeah, pardon, I didn't phrase it well. Just struck, no, by the sharing of others, of their deep and meaningful stories of transformation, of trauma, of change. And I just wondered, no, out of curiosity, if you experience that in a way your story holds space, no, for others to share on this as well. And if you experience that as you, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I think it's a space where we want people to be, to have a chance to be, to propose something, to participate, to contribute, and to count. And therefore, for us, at a certain point, it's important to document that work, also to put names and faces, so that please don't forget us. We were here, we made this, we were brave, we count, we were as human as you are. And then to also encourage other women we are not claiming women's rights. I'm not claiming human, I'm claiming my human rights. And I should just be. Let me be for the time I can be, and put my signature, my contribution, and take whatever I have to take, or give whatever I have to give. And however broken you are, you still are. And you make me richer than as women who are not eligible in many spaces, in many things. This is a space where you are eligible. You are where you count, where you are, and there is no, I don't even want to justify why it is important. It is not. I mean, it is important because it's me. I am here. And I am important, and I have something to contribute, and I count. And this is what the women are understanding more and more. And even the little girls, when they come, we tell them, you count. However wild and bizarre is your dream, it counts. It matters. It counts. It is important. And then whatever you want to do, you have a flow. You do it. Never, you are the first person who have to allow yourself. Don't expect people to give you permission for that. And maybe do it in a creative way, in a smart way, but do it. Find ways to make people fall in love with you and with your work. But you count. And then if you don't see yourself reflected in those values or in this culture, then make them yours. And if you feel that this value is not made of you, is only made of men or made of I don't know who, then pour yourself in that, and it will take your shape, it will take your signature, and you will count. And people at a certain point, they will have to look at you and recognize you and see you finally.
Kiki, thank you so much for sharing your hard-fought lessons of wisdom, of joy, of resistance, of humanity. We're deeply honored to have had this opportunity to have a dialogue with you in this fireside chat. It really was a profound conversation, and we're really humbled that you were willing to share with us. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you too.
Yeah. It deeply touched my heart as well. And perhaps, Bianca, if you would like to maybe help us in leading us through another practice to wrap up this amazing session. Thank you to all participants as well for your questions and comments. And we'll just take a moment to recenter and come back as we wrap up this incredibly rich conversation. Bianca, please go ahead.
Great, thank you. So I think what I'd like us to do is maybe take a second to, as Jenny says, just to sort of close your eyes and allow all the knowledge and the wisdom and the inspiration to kind of settle within your being, perhaps the sadness, whatever else is there, but just to allow that. And then I think once you've got to that space, so you're here, you're just in acceptance and allowance of everything that's inside of you from what we've just experienced and heard. And then I'd like for you to imagine that this love and the compassionate action that we're all aspiring to be, and the love that we're aspiring to be, the compassionate action that we're aspiring to take, that this has transformed you. So here we're going to be doing a small visualization. Just allow your imagination to flow with this, but to imagine that all of this action and all of this love has transformed you into a large, brilliant diamond. And you can just see this diamond light expanding throughout from your center of your being all the way out into all the four corners, all the four directions of the planet, of the universe, just expanding out in all four directions. You can almost feel it pulsing. It's almost like that drumbeat, that pulsing of the earth and the pulsing of light and energy that you are. And then, while this light is going out in all four directions, just use your thought to send that light to all sentient beings everywhere, with the wish that everyone everywhere be happy, well, and protected. And just allow that to go out into your energy and into the universe. And to each other, to all of us in this room, virtual room. Sending our appreciation to Kiki for her sharing, and to Jennifer for her moderation, and to each of you for being here. And then you can just bring that diamond back space slowly back into your own space and open your eyes. And again, thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you again to Kiki for being here and sharing with us. We are, I think, all very inspired by what we've heard today. If there isn't anything else, Jenny or Osvaldo, I would like to just share the upcoming sessions for later on in this week, if that works, if there's nothing else.
Bianca?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just put in the chat that even after the Ubuntu Symposium ends in MenEngage, we want to continue this inner work for social change conversations to address all these themes. And we are so inspired by Kiki. Thank you so much, Kiki, for what you offered to us. And we want to continue cultivating this space to address issues as Kiki has addressed with us about humanity, trauma, guilt, healing, forgiveness, joy, what is our calling, what is our contribution, all of that. We want to continue. We want to also explore the tree of contemplative practices, like the one that Bianca just led us right now, and Jenny as well at the beginning. So please share your email in the chat if you want to be specially invited to future inner work for social change activities, initiatives, or reach out to us by an email, send us an email. Let us know by any way to any of us that you want to continue being part of this community of practice to grow together.
Great, thanks so much, Osvaldo. And then just to say, oh, I thought I put it there. It's not there. But we are now starting to announce the closing event, which will be on June 22nd. So please do save the date. It will be from 2 to 6 Central Africa time. That's 8 to 12 Eastern time. So please do save the date and the time, and we will look forward to seeing you all again soon. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time. And thank you again, Kiki, for being with us.